Is this thing working?
Well, I can hear you, but...
You can hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't hear the music.
Well, I'm Ian. Who are you?
I'm Caroline. Hello, Ian.
Hello, Caroline. And hello, everyone. Welcome to Caroline Nutrition. This is episode 0. No, it's not episode 1. That's the next episode. This one is all about us. I'm Ian Kath, and I've got the lovely Caroline Scott here with me. And we're going to tell you a little bit about what we do and what this new podcast is all about here at Caroline Nutrition. Primarily, it's about nutrition, and the information is going to be coming to you from Caroline. Who are you, Caroline?
Who am I? I am a holistic nutritionist, which means I get to look not just at what you eat, but the way you live your life and your lifestyle choices and the things that you might get up to and how that may or may not impact your health outcomes long term.
Holistic stuff. Big picture things in regards to primarily nutrition, because that's your specialty. What's your qualifications?
I'm qualified as a dietitian, so I tend not to work in that way because most people have got the idea that a dietitian is found based in a hospital setting and that we're just looking at acute care and they don't diagnose, but they're just looking at building protein levels and different metabolic changes in the body. So they don't tend to be out in the community actually helping with community health and community diet. You have to choose to do that.
So you're fully qualified. You are a dietitian by training.
Yeah, I'm a holistic nutritionist and a qualified dietitian.
So why are we doing this podcast? Why are we going to all this effort?
Because you thought it was such a great idea.
I did, didn't I? Yes. And I think it is a good idea because a lot of people, I've always been interested in health and fitness and good food myself. But when I heard about what Caroline's doing and the holistic side of nutrition, I thought this is the sort of information a lot more people should have access to in a ready, easily available way. And also, I don't necessarily agree with everything that you talk about. So there's some rabbit holes I want to go down. I like that. What do we want to achieve here?
Well, for me, any medium that I can use to get health messages across is where I'm coming from. Long-term preventative healthcare is what's going to help people the most. And so if that means doing a podcast, but I already have a blog, I have a website, I see people in my local community on the Gold Coast.
And if you haven't gathered everybody, we're in Queensland, Australia, for those of you overseas. So the Gold Coast is right down the bottom tip of the coast in Queensland, just before you reach the border into New South Wales.
Yeah. So I have quite a local following, and I'm used to speaking to groups live on the Gold Coast. But if a podcast can get out further afield, then that'd be great. It would be awesome if people listening to the podcast could interact and send emails and questions, and we could cover perhaps subjects that they might be specifically and individually interested in. I'd love that. So for me, it's just about getting the health messages that I've got further afield. That's why I'm interested in doing this podcast. And
what you just said then, I think, is really important. We really quite seriously want feedback from the community out there because everybody's a little bit different. Everybody can relate to other people, and we want to share some ideas around, and depending on what you're interested in, we'll tackle some of those topics and do a bit of research. Caroline has got a whole heap of research under her belt already, but she's always digging into the new research and seeing what's happening. And if you've got questions about the latest supplement or the latest methodology, and you're not sure whether there are some snake oil merchants out there peddling false promises, or if there's some big money behind something feeding it in the wrong direction, we want to go and explore down some of these rabbit holes. And we want to know what your thoughts are and what you're interested in so we can go and explore these. We can't offer individual consultation via the podcast, but we can certainly explore fields and areas of interest.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I do too. So we're going to have a bit of a think about what the first few episodes are and bash them together, and that'll give a bit of a taste of what's to come. What I also want to do, and I may only mention this very briefly to Caroline, is I want to include some recipes because I like food and I like cooking food, and I want to explore some recipes. And I've already said that they have to be, well, we're going to follow the rules of, being healthy, nutritious food, but they've got to taste good, okay? It's got to taste good.
Yeah, of course.
No, not of course. A lot of people don't. A lot of people who are passionate about nutrition forget about taste, and I really think taste is important.
Yeah, I think taste is important too, but I think sometimes people have forgotten about taste because they have indulged their taste buds to a point where they only taste maybe one or two things. They taste a lot of salt and they taste a lot of sugar. Unhealthy.
Sweet, salty, fat.
Yeah, lovely. Heart attack, here we come.
Yeah, so we're going to explore these things and have a bit of fun with them. At the same time, we're going to let this evolve over time. We don't quite know what we're doing as yet, but if you've listened to any other podcasts out there, this is very much the modus operandi for it. People get underway and then they find their feet over a period of time, and that's going to be exactly the same way it is for us. I've already got 2 other podcasts for those of you out there who are interested. They're at yourstorypodcast.com, which is my very irregular podcast where I sit down with interesting people and discuss their lives about what they've been up to. I've had all sorts of people who are transgender, people who have adventurous sporting activities, people who have lived on some of the unusual parts of life, come out of South Africa, escaped Europe before World War II. Some really, really interesting stories. And when you dip into some of those episodes, 75 episodes now, it's amazing some of the stories you hear. I fundamentally believe that we're all more the same than we are different. And that's what I try to achieve with Your Story, to help people understand that we are so very similar. And out of that, I also spun another podcast, which is archived, which is createyourlifestory.com. And it's exactly that, where I share with people how to record themselves or someone they care about and capture their stories for the rest of the family or to publish online. And I have got 74 episodes there where I take people through a step-by-step process in order to learn how to craft stories, record people, and publish if they want to. And that's there for people to listen to, and it still constantly gets people going to the site and learning some of the information I put out. But that site's fully archived. So I've got a little bit of podcasting history going back to about 2007 when I first started. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it, and I think it's an incredibly great medium, audio that is, to get ideas out. And that's what we want to explore here with Caroline Scott. What else would you like to say?
No, I don't think I've got anything else to add here at this point. I guess I'd encourage people to go to my website, www.carolinenutrition.com, and have a little look at me and see if they like any of the blogs I've written and some of the stuff. The information up there is yours for free, just to help you out. And even from those blog posts, you might have some questions or some thoughts that you could email through to us. It'd be great to hear from anybody out there. Is there anybody out there?
As we record this, we know there isn't. But hopefully, very soon there will be. And then we can start reacting to some of your questions. So one of the questions that people might be asking, Caroline, is what's going to be happening in episode 1 next time?
Episode 1. Well, I thought we might discuss inflammation. You're looking quizzical. Inflammation is the basis of all our disease. And I think it's important that we have an understanding of how inflammation affects us. And that way we can understand perhaps better how we can prevent, treat, work with inflammation on a cellular level. So we're not going to cover the ABCs and the boring bits of biochemistry, but just enough so that we understand our own symptoms, why we would be experiencing inflammation. For example, foods that we eat that create inflammation and foods that don't. So foods that we could include in our diet and foods that we perhaps shouldn't include as much of. I think that kind of information is useful for people if they're looking for long-term good health outcomes, considering that every modern disease we're suffering from, particularly here in the West, diabetes, arthritis, Alzheimer's, cancers, heart disease, all start with inflammation.
So this is a topic that overarches all the other more detailed things that we're going to be getting into later.
Yes, it does, but also it can be a general topic, but also it just shows on a really cellular level how we can affect change ourselves by looking at the way we live our lives and what we surround ourselves with, be it the food that we eat, what we drink, the chemicals that we use in our homes, the toxins that we're exposed to on a daily basis, and the changes, therefore, that we can instigate, which some can be easy and some more difficult. But at least it gives people an option to instigate change, particularly if they or their family members are suffering from any of those disease states we mentioned, or have a family history of that. I think having an understanding that you can prevent these kind of things, I think, is really important for us.
So in the meantime, everyone, there are some emails and comments you can send our way. Email, which is always good, can be sent to contact@carolinenutrition.com. Caroline's Twitter handle is @CJRScott, whereas mine is @Ian Kath, and Kath is spelt with a K. Love to hear from you. Love to know what your thoughts are. I'm also on Facebook and Google Plus and all the social medias. If you search for my name, you will find me everywhere. Caroline, in the social media world, is?
I think it's Caroline Scott. Facebook is Caroline Nutrition. What else is there? My website, I've already told you, carolinenutrition.com. I think that's about it.
And remember, you can subscribe also. There are links on the site at carolinenutrition.com. And also, if you search in iTunes, you'll find a subscription to the podcast. All the links are at carolinenutrition.com, as well as a way of getting hold of us and send us your ideas. So come back for next episode, episode 1 of Caroline Nutrition, and we'll get into
inflammation
and find out what inflammation is all about. Wow. Thanks, Caroline.
Thanks, Ian.
See you next time. Bye.